Good afternoon, I'm Duncan Golestani. The Prime Minister has condemned the execution of a British-Iranian dual national as a callous and cowardly decision carried out by a barbaric regime. Ali Reza Akbari was killed in Iran, according to the country's state media. A former Deputy Defence Minister there, he was convicted in 2019 of spying for the UK, charges he denied. Rachel Younger has the latest.
Ali Reza Akbari had been held for 4 years, often in solitary confinement, in some of Iran's most notorious prisons. When the plan to execute him was made known by the authorities earlier this week, there was an international outcry. But it proved futile. His death announced on Iranian television this morning.
Akbari's death sentence was carried out. He was sentenced to execution for corruption on earth and acts against the country's domestic and foreign security through espionage. The Intelligence Ministry earlier announced that Akbari was one of the most important agents of the British spy service.
But only the vaguest details of the case against him were ever released, and he denies spying. A dual national, the British government wasn't told of where or when his execution took place, the Prime Minister calling it a callous and cowardly act, carried out by a barbaric regime with no respect for the rights of their own people. In the hours before his death, the British government was joined by the UN and the Americans in appealing to Tehran not to carry out its threat.
We are greatly disturbed by the reports that Mr. Akbari was drugged, tortured while in custody, interrogated for thousands of hours, and forced to make false concessions.
Both the British Foreign Secretary and the chair of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee condemning Iran in the strongest possible terms.
What this does confirm is that the Iranian regime is absolutely intent on industrialising hostage-taking, that they will happily take lives in order to hide away their own sins.
Akbari's case wasn't directly linked to the nationwide protests against the regime that have been sweeping the country, but criticism of those demonstrations has seen Britain's relations with Iran deteriorate. Now, the government must work out how to show its immense displeasure. Rachel Younger, ITV News.
The Prime Minister has agreed to deliver a squadron of the UK's main battle tanks to Ukraine. 4 British Army Challenger 2 tanks will reportedly be sent immediately, with 8 more to follow. It would make Britain the first to send such tanks to Ukraine. A review is being launched into the guidance given to landlords over the health risks of mould and damp. It follows the death of 2-year-old Awab Ishak from exposure to mould at his home in Rochdale. The updated guidance is to be issued in the summer. And a new study suggests hormone replacement therapy may help prevent Alzheimer's in some women. Researchers at the University of East Anglia said HRT, which helps control menopause symptoms, is associated with better cognitive function in women at high risk of developing Alzheimer's. It's been confirmed today that single-use plastic plates, cutlery and a host of other items will be banned in England from October. The Department for the Environment said the ban will also cover certain types of polystyrene cups and food containers as the government seeks to curb the impact of plastic on the environment. Barbara Holmes has the details.
A whole range of single-use items like plates and cutlery are to be banned in England from October. The government said it's to tackle the devastating impact of plastic on the environment. People in England use 2.7 billion pieces of single-use cutlery a year and around 721 million plastic plates. Only about 10% of that is recycled. The Department for the Environment say the new rules mean the public will not be able to buy the banned items from shops or takeaways. Similar laws have already been introduced in Wales and Scotland. The government says previous bans, like those on straws, plastic bags and cotton buds, have reduced the environmental damage from these plastics. They say they are also considering further restrictions on items like wet wipes, tobacco filters and sachets. Barbara Holmes, ITV News.
Prince Harry has revealed that he has enough material to write another book. He says the original draft of his memoir, Spare, was twice as long. Joe Coshan is at Buckingham Palace for us. Now, Joe, did Harry say why he'd cut so much out of the book?
Well, Duncan, in his latest interview, this time with the Daily Telegraph, Harry said that His Majesty the King and the Prince of Wales would never forgive him if the original transcript of his book Spare, which was double the length, was published. He says a lot of the detail edited out were things involving his brother and his father that he just didn't want the world to know. Now, Harry has told all in his book and to Tom Bradby with an interview with ITV last weekend, including claims that his brother attacked him and that his father did not prioritise his interests. He wanted to get his side of the story across, but most importantly tried to repair relations with his family. Now, he said himself that some of the book may not please the palace and they may not be able to forgive him already, but says if he's willing to forgive them for everything they've done to him, then they should be able to look past it. But royal commentators have been speculating today whether the prospects, the warning some are calling it, of more telling memoirs from Harry in the coming years will make the chances of a family reunion even more unlikely, Duncan.
Joe, thank you very much. Joe Koshan there at Buckingham Palace. And just to say, of course, you can watch that full interview between the Duke of Sussex and Tom Bradby on our streaming service, ITVX. Finally, the Only Fools and Horses actor who's landed himself a cushy little number in Hollywood, Nicholas Lyndhurst, perhaps better known as Rodney, is to play a boozy British professor opposite Kelsey Grammer in a highly anticipated sequel to his hit sitcom Frasier. That is according to the entertainment magazine Variety. The two actors are well known to each other, having appeared on the London stage together a few years ago. And that is it for the moment. Lucy Watson will be here with the latest at 5:30. From all of us here, have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
It's a cold and wet outlook, with some heavy downpours throughout the day. Heinz Big Soup sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello, a very good afternoon to you. A very wet start for some of us this morning, and this afternoon drier conditions for many parts of England and Wales, but further heavy rainfall expected for parts of western Scotland, quite readily falling as snow, particularly up on higher ground, with increasingly strong winds for Northern Ireland and southwest Scotland as we go through the day today. Colder air will be digging in for all of us as we head through this afternoon and into this evening. So a few icy stretches out there tonight, temperatures hovering just above freezing, and further snowfall expected through Scotland, Northern Ireland, and later on in the night, perhaps higher ground in northern England, remaining very windy, especially for exposed western coast of Scotland through the night tonight. On to tomorrow, a brighter day in prospect for many places, still very wet and windy in the northern and western corner of the country, blustery showers expected through the course of the day, some sunshine to look forward to and drier conditions in the south and east, but it is going to be a very cold day. Bye-bye.
Heinz Big Soup sponsors ITV National Weather.